We're going to take you live to Melbourne, where Tony Sheldon, National Secretary of the Transport Workers Union, is responding to that foreign takeover of toll holdings.
For unions around the world, there are 50 countries that tolls operates in. We'll be also seeking further guarantees about how the business will operate into the future. But all the impressions and all the comments made so far by tolls have been on the positive, about being reassuring about this venture. I'd compare tolls with a great Australian company, TNT, that was taken over by the Dutch, which turned out to be a disaster. What's happened here quite clearly then is that Japan Post has made a decision, unlike the TNT acquisition, to keep Australian management, Australian practices and Australian skill that's built this company up so strongly over so many years in place. And that's a positive for the workforce. It's a positive for moving forward with the toll group and soon to be the Japan Post toll group. A couple of statistics are important here, that we've got a company in Japan Post which is worth $3 trillion, twice the size of the Australian economy. They're the third largest domestic mail service in the world, and they will become, with this tolls acquisition, the fifth largest logistics company in the world. This is a company which has high unionisation, a productive workforce, a skilled workforce, and one that's paying dividends not only for shareholders but for the workforce themselves. I'm open for questions.
So do you have any concerns about this takeover at all, or do you think it's all good?
Look, I think the announcements so far are on the positive, but it's critically important that in the discussions, in the formal discussions we hold with the company, with workplace representatives, that we also have clear written guarantees regarding the company moving forward and its forward project. But this is a positive announcement for the company. There's very few occasions where acquisitions can be literally a win for the workforce, a win for the shareholders and a win for management. This is one of those few occasions that the three parts of the business are going to be properly and appropriately looked after now and in the future.
Sorry, someone's phone vibrating on the website.
That's mine. Apologies.
You mentioned guarantees. What kind of commitments are you seeking?
Well, we're seeking to make sure that the company is continuing to keep its business operations within Australia, giving the job security guarantees, but also critically about what the company's future plans are. This is a great opportunity for further expansion for the company, both within tolls and, again, wearing my international hat as the chair of the Road Transport Federation. It's important to see how tolls is going to be moving into markets in a cooperative way, both with its workforce within the countries they exist in now and the future workforces that they'll be engaging. Now, this is a very big announcement. It's a very important one for the Australian community, the Australian workforce, and a very important one for tolls in the future.
Is there a risk that if toll doesn't pay off for Japan Holdings, that the first cuts they might make might be to Australian management, they're not double handling, and the results for Australian workers, if that happens?
Look, I think all the questions that have been raised and answered by toll so far is about how the Australian management team will be kept in place. But critically, regarding the workforce, and that is that there's been undertakings about job guarantees verbally, and we'll be seeking those within writing to be expressed directly to all the workforce and to the representatives that we'll be meeting next week.
You're talking about expansion. Have you been given any? Have you been told what sort of expansion they're looking at, and do you know how many jobs it might mean for Australia?
Look, I think this will be part of the discussions that we'll have with the company, but it's clear that this is a very profitable company. It has, in the case of tolls, a very seasoned management team, and one that's been recognised by Australia Post as being critical to move the business forward, both nationally and internationally. It's so far, with both looking at commentators and also our own experience, that this company is only going to go from strength to strength.
Do you think toll will now compete more aggressively against Australia Post in the parcel delivery business, and what will that mean for employees and consumers?
Look, I think that's a question really to be placed towards toll management about what their plans are directly with competition in various markets, including Australia. But what's clear is that tolls has a capacity to deliver a service above and beyond what it can do now. It's an experienced and seasoned company, just as Australia Post is also a very seasoned operator within the market. There's now real capacity, again, being the 5th largest logistics company in the world through this acquisition. And of course, Japan Post being the 3rd largest domestic mail operator, that the synergies has to pay off for everybody concerned.